Hello, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me in another of my monologues. Today it's just going to be a bit of a relaxed chit-chat today as I have a cup of coffee and smoke my pipe. Hope you don't mind. You can always switch off, can't you? A couple of things really I want to sort of bring to your attention and discuss, and you might want to share some ideas about it. The first thing is I'll have to have a slurp of coffee. First coffee of the day, and it's very nice. So I'm just trying to get into my mind the order of things I want to talk about. One thing, we were having a talk in Glastonbury, and we've done this a few times now, and it's been very successful. But thanks to what does seem to be affecting other people, Katie Hopkins suffers or had suffered this for some time, and many other speakers had suffered it for a while. And that is, of course, you have a booking, you have a venue, you have an audience. You have effectively a lovely, quiet, relaxed evening with a bunch of people who you want to talk to, they want to see you. And some spoil sport decides to dig up some crap from somewhere, tell the venue, tell the organiser, and say, oh, these people are extremely far right, or they're racists, or they're, all sorts of different things. They're nasty. And that's what's happened to Clive de Carle, Sandy Adams, and myself. The second time. First it was the town hall who decided, oh gosh, we're very frightened now. We've become intimidated by some, perhaps a very small minority, perhaps just 2 or 3 people who decided that we were pretty nasty for whatever reason. And that the public who had bought tickets, who were interested in going, who could make their own mind up, who could take responsibility for themselves, and if they found it offensive in any way, could actually get up and walk out. The public were not allowed to have this to happen because the town management felt that it was very important that they were the arbiters of censorship. And so then we moved to another venue, which was St. John's Church in Glastonbury, quite a big venue. And you would think the church, being ecclesiastical and open-minded and accepting people of faith, people who believed in something which on the face of it may be difficult to prove, would be more open-minded to have people expressing opinions in their hall, wherever it is. But apparently not, because the same agitator came forward and said, yeah, you know, you've got that Richard Vobes, he's a troublemaker. The Sandy Adams, she speaks about terrible things, and as for Clive de Carle, gosh, he'll have a conversation with you, which will get misconstrued as a, what's the word, conspiracy. So, yes, we've been cancelled again, and I mention this not because I'm terribly worried about missing out on a venue, but more that this is the sort of thing that, again, is rearing its ugly head and will be a challenge. And this relates to something else that I want to tell you about in a moment or two. But first, I must light my pipe, he says, hoping the gas is in there. There we go. It helps you relax, it stills the mind, and the nicotine protects you from that medical intervention that may be spilling out of people or being sprayed in the skies or whatever it's doing. You can disbelieve me, of course. Make your own mind up, can't you? You're educated people. You have your own mind. We say that in these videos. This is just the sharing of ideas. Anyway, cheers. Another little announcement that I feel I ought to make is I'm struggling to get to the end of my book, which I've been working on for some time, and you may be aware of it going on in the background. I'll tell you about that in a second. But in order to get onto the last, what's that last bit? The bit where you run the final stretch, you know, the last bit, which is where I'm at. I just need to sort of spend a bit more time focused on that and make sure that it's all comes together and works and is the best I can make it, because I'm sure that the minute I launch the book, people will be ready to be some people will be there ready to sort of pull it to shreds. So I want to do the best I can. I'm not a renowned novelist. I don't write books all day long, as much as actually it would be nice to do that. I go and do my videos, and I've been an entertainer in the past, as you know, and I do all sorts of different things. So I hope people will be a little bit more kind. But there's always somebody out there who will be ready to put the elbow in, or the knee in, or whatever it is, the spanner in the works, or whatever. So I want time, is what I'm leading up to say, to finish it, and therefore I will be easing back on the interviews, just so you know. I say that because I get loads of people who come out of the woodwork, never heard of them, very nice, I'm sure, but they sort of, push themselves forward and say, I'd like to be on your show. Richard, can I come on your show? I notice you've had somebody similar. And I think to myself, well, if I've had somebody similar, why do I need somebody to just sort of do the same again? I'm not the BBC full of repeats. But I understand that people want the exposure, and they've got a product and they want to sell it, and it may be of use to other people and all of this sort of stuff. But I just need to have a bit of time out. So forgive me lighting my pipe many, many times. Just that when you're talking, it often goes out. Anyway, so that's that. This is my book. Although this isn't the final cover, because you can't even read the title. I cobbled this together very quickly in order to have an actual physical object, I suppose, of which, I don't know if you can see, there are copious, let's get rid of this, a page of my own, copious red pennings. You see? I don't know if you can see any of that, but that's me editing it and changing it and correcting the grammar, and this is the process that I'm at, and then I will have it proofread by somebody. So I'm hoping it will be ready in August. I was hoping it would be ready in April, but that was a very ignorant and very, what's the word, optimistic thing. But anyway, I'm hoping that in a couple of months it will be actually ready to be read, and I hope people will find it interesting. But it started as an allegory that I did on the show some couple of years ago now, of what would happen if the town, a small market town, said to the council, we don't want your net zero crap, thanks very much. We don't want 20-mile-an-hour zones. We don't want 5G. We don't want 15-minute cities. And we don't want too many big corporations, and especially those big supermarkets that are gobbling up all the last remaining small family-run businesses. We don't want that. We want a quiet, less interfered life. We want a council that says yes to projects. Yes, you can go and set up a little farmstead. You can live on the land and care for some animals, rather than no, we'll find everything possible to prevent you from doing that. A council that will actually become the servants of the people and do the people's bidding, instead of thinking that they are the arbiters of the government and have to force the dark forces and the WEF and the WHO's mandates down on the people. If the people live in a place and they all got together and they say, do you know what, we don't want your rubbish, what argument has the council got? Oh, somebody sent me a video the other day of them talking about a new housing estate which hadn't been put to all the people in the little village, and they were going ahead with it, and they went to a town council meeting, and the chairman of this council said, you've only got 3 minutes. There were 3 people who were allowed to dissent in this proposal, whereas the councils have just come to the conclusion they're going to do it, and we better listen to the dissenters, hadn't we? And they gave them 3 minutes each. And you imagine you're standing up there saying, these are the reasons why I don't think this should go ahead, plus the fact, here's all the flaws in the planning application that's happened from this big conglomerate, probably with money in brown envelopes to all you councillors. And it was a nonsense that the people were saying, well, we can only listen to 3 minutes. We can only listen to 3 minutes. And it's like, hang on a minute, we live here. We don't want this. Most of the people here don't want this. You're giving us something we don't want. How is it you've got the power to do that? And so this is what Biggleswick addresses in the book. And it takes people through a number of different scenarios, such as bailiffs and evictions. It talks about this chemtrails it talks about everything, and people will read it and go, "Oh, Vobes has got this in, he's got that in, he's got that in." But it's also a book that you could give to your mum and dad or those people in your family who have no notion that the vaccine was perhaps not the greatest thing to have, or that there are dark forces gathering. So that's really what the book is in a story. And of course, it's just fiction. Now, having said all of that, he says, lighting his pipe rapidly, hoping it doesn't make too much of a slurping noise. Julia and I, once the book is ready, you know, we go around and we do talks at various places. People come and say, "Oh, Richard, could you do a talk?" We're part of the Sounds Beautiful Festival down in Dorset coming up. I've been involved with the emceeing at a Barbara O'Neill's health summit, and we're going back up to Scotland in Crieff and in Turnberry, I think it is, later on in the year. And there is some other events that we've been asked to go and talk at. But and so it's very nice to be part of somebody else's thing. But we thought, Julia and I, once the book is written, we'd love people to read it, and we know that people would love to come and have a chat to us and ask us questions about a whole host of different things. I know that because I get copious emails about questions, and some people seem to think that I'm some agony aunt, which I am definitely not, and I do try to answer all the emails as best I can. Cheers. So we thought, wouldn't it be delightful if we could run a series of events, or, well, we wanted to run a sort of tea party, something quintessentially English, because we do on our other channel, The English Couple, quintessentially English fun and nonsense. Optimistic, jolly, you know, just looking at English stuff from time to time. We don't do enough of them because we're focused on other things. Julia does her own channel, doing beautiful singing. But we thought it would be lovely to do a little sort of get together around the country at different places, little tea party in which we would invite, well, we would sell tickets, obviously, because we've got to pay for everything. And people could come along if they wished. And within the price of the ticket, they would get a book. So they could get the book. It would be signed by us. They could ask us questions. We would act as sort of waiter and waitress, I suppose, making cups of tea for people. We would wait on the people and have a sort of informal chat. That was the sort of concept that we came up with, rather than a stage and a talk. There would be a talk and a relaxed sort of chit-chat, really, with a small number of people. It would be a little exclusive in terms of not, you know, it would be private, so it'd be ticket sales only, that sort of thing. And we thought that would be good, but we need people to try and organise some of these places, because we don't know where the venues are, and we are not there to put posters up in the town and try and entice people in like we used to do in the old days. And I'm in a few Telegram groups, but I don't make an appearance because I'm so damn busy. So we thought that would be quite a nice thing. And if anybody out there would like to organise that sort of thing for us, or has a group and says, "Oh, we'd love to have you come along and get your book and have a sign and have a little excerpt from the book, questions and answers." Julia, you never know, may play a ukulele. Who knows? She doesn't know I've just said that. She's sitting over there laughing at me going, "Oh my gosh." But basically, we want to have an informal, human time. You know, it's not like a big show. It's not pompous. It's not, you know, egotistical. It's just a sort of nice get together with a few people. Now, come back to the first item that I said about being cancelled. Of course, obviously, we don't want to end up in situations where the management get very scared for their reputation and this, that and the other, and then deem that they have to become, as I said before, the arbiter of censorship and go, "Oh no, we can't let the public in." So we need places that are going to be open to the sort of nonsense that I chat about. It would be light-hearted, it would be fun, it would be a laughing event. We would tell some jokes, I'd tell some stories about my background, my history, how I got to where I am. And of course there would be a reading of the book. There would be the tea and cake, and Julia may play her ukulele, and it would just be a lovely sort of thing. And it would be showing the human side of Julia and I, because as you have maybe watched in one of my recent videos, AI is taking over the internet, just taking over, as in the corporations took over the high streets and our lives. You know, your call is useful to us, is important to us, only you've got to hang on the line for 2 or 3 hours. It's that sort of thing. So as the corporations have sort of ever squeezed into the ordinary everyday people, these dead entities, so is AI taking over the internet and now putting up images of people or videos of people that is not even real. And so it seems to me that ever more we need to return to an analog world in which the money that you have in your pocket, if it doesn't scratch a window, it is of no use whatsoever. Not this digital, virtual, corporate takeover world in which AI is king and we, of course, remain the paupers. We don't want that kind of world. I don't want that kind of world. You may want that kind of world. That may be what you're looking for. What I don't believe it is, I don't believe the human psyche can cope with that. So that is the aim. Thank you for joining me for this informal chit chat. I hope it was enjoyable, and I appreciate I have gone on a little. But it has been nice to smoke the pipe and relax with a bunch of people. Most people will probably not come along to this video because perhaps I don't know what I'm going to call it, a cup of tea and a pipe, a chat or something, I don't know. What it does is it gets rid of all the people who just come for the sensational stuff, and those that actually support and enjoy listening to what perhaps me and Julia might have to say. It's the essential core of our audience that I want to reach, which is you. So thank you for listening. I'll keep you updated, but probably all of that from August onwards and September and what have you, although we're disappearing up to do, but we'll fit it all in. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care, look after yourselves, and enjoy your pipe, your cup of tea, and a good book. Till next time, goodbye.